Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whatever time you're watching this in the world. This is Rihanna coming from Plan Wholesome Empowerment Group. I hope you're well. And I just wanted to share a quick reflective video about the last perception sessions that we held, the breakdown. Now, the breakdown was all about the many breakdowns we experience in life. And we spoke a lot about family feuds, physical and mental health breakdowns. We spoke a lot about financial breakdowns as well. And we spoke about how all these breakdowns can contribute to the overall breakdown of your being. We had a few ladies there that were very contributory to the session because they were all able to bring forth something that they had experienced themselves personally and from the people around them. So being able to draw on first-hand experience around how these different areas of life have either contributed singly or contributed as a collective to a breakdown of some form or shape on their well-being as an individual. And it was really, really the right word I would say is really eye-opening, because you don't understand how much people go through until you are in the situation where they're able to feel so freely to express. And I just first of all want to thank the ladies for being so open and free about their situations and their lives. But secondly, I want to just explain a few things that I learned from the session. So I've written them down. So the first one, people can go through the same or similar breakdown, but how it affects them is personal to them. This is a very deep reflection that I had from this session, because a lot of the time we may not be sympathetic or empathetic to someone's situation, and that could be because we have gone through it ourselves and we've dealt with it in a certain way, and there could be a certain expectation that has been built around how to deal with that situation because you've dealt with it in one way. Now, from the session, it was evident that people there had experienced some sort of friction with the way that they have dealt with their own life situations, and that was something that I felt really stood out as a prominent key factor to home in the fact that you don't know what the other person has experienced, how they've enjoyed it, and how it's affected them emotionally, mentally, even physically, again, because any physical or mental health, for example, can affect each individual differently based on their upbringing, based on their culture, based on their diet even. So that was something that I was very mindful of, and it stood out quite a lot. So the next thing that I felt was quite important to highlight, being able to personify your pain can help you detach your feelings. Now, for those of you that don't know, the art of personification is being able to give that essence of you a name, a face, a color even, and being able to look it external from yourself, and that allows you to then detach certain feelings that you may harbor or have around it. So I'll use myself as an example in this. Being able to detach yourself from a breakdown of emotional health. Yeah, so that would also kind of feed into mental health as well. And being able to personify it allowed me to understand that I am not the pain. It enabled me to understand that this is something that is an outer experience that is affecting my inner being. Now, when I say an outer experience, it is something that has been forced on me, basically, that I've not been able to I don't want to be able to pinpoint it to myself, because it is not the be all and end all of my essence or of my person. So being able to externalize it, That probably would have been the better word to say. Externalizing and personifying the pain is a really good tool to help you understand and articulate yourself, and know that from moment to moment, day to day, your feelings, thoughts, and behavior does change around your certain aspects that's affecting you in your life. And being able to understand that when you have the ability to personify and detach, that is your gateway to letting go. That is your gateway to healing. That is your gateway to creating a new narrative around how you feel about that situation. And being able to do that allows you to open up your mind. It's a form of enlightenment per se, because it brings about the formation of hope. Hope is a really, really big thing that we also spoke about. Leading me on to the next point. Your story won't change unless you want it to. So unless you have a glimmer of hope, unless you have something that drives you, that vision, that goal, that, I wouldn't even say goal, but a dream that is enabling you to work towards. Because if you don't have that, what are you really and truly living for? What are you living for? So being able to change your story, having hope to change your story, is also something that we felt was really, really heartwarming, and it touched us, because not a lot of the time we think about the long term, particularly when you are in some sort of breakdown. You only think about the here and now whilst you're in it. And as much as it's good to look at the here and now, you have to think again outside of the box in your future direction. Project yourself into where you want to be, and think about how strategically and practically you're going to get there. And for example, if it was a health need, how are you going to get back to or how are you going to get to a different sense of health? Is if you've had health issues, for example, that have changed your baseline of health, how are you now going to manage and cope with that change? Because this has now become something of you, or has possibly restricted you in some way, but it shouldn't necessarily restrict your life. It shouldn't necessarily restrict your ability to love, to live a full life as best as you are able to. And that's what we're trying to home in there, as best as you're able to. So change that narrative around how you're going to execute it. The next thing, again, that kind of feeds into the last point, is you are your own revolution. If you don't fight for yourself, who's going to fight for you? You are your only best friend. You're the only person you can rely on in this world. So who are you going to fight for if you can't fight for yourself? Now, when it comes to these breakdowns that we experience, who's going to fight your corner when everyone else has whittled away in the dust because they either can't be around you, or they're probably a bit bored of hearing your problems, or whatever it is? When people tend to disappear is when the hardship is happening for you. How are you going to manage yourself throughout those times when you don't have anyone around? Be your own form of change. Be your own revolution. Be the person to big up your own chest and shout from the rooftops that you have been able to support yourself. This is why I'm such a big advocate for self-healing and self-help, because if you can't do it for yourself, no one will do it for you. It's as simple as that. No one will do it for you. You have to be able to save yourself in order to change yourself. Okay? And the last thing I want to kind of home in here is being mindful of how the impact of one area of your life possibly slipping, or a few areas, small slippages, a few slippages can really impact the overall being. So it can be a cyclical process, and it's like the snowball effect. When one thing happens, another thing happens, and then it kind of feels like everything is all piled on at once. But it's the mere fact that when one thing breaks down, you tend to pay more attention to that one thing, and you take away your attention from everything else. And that, my friend, does not help the situation at all, because when one thing slips, the next thing slips, and then all of a sudden you've got a whole mountain and weight of perceived failures. Yeah, because it was all about perception sessions, but perceived failures and perceived downfalls that also may be very valid at some aspects, but looking at the extremities of the worst case scenario and the practical aspect of what's actually happening can be very skewed based on how you believe it's affecting you, and that's down to your perception. So I'm going to leave these reflections here with you and just resonate on how your life has been impacted by your breakdowns. What, if any, breakdowns have you experienced recently that you've paid more attention to that may have needed a bit less attention for you to focus on the overall being and see if that one area can improve with just a little more focus, not all focus. And I also just want to say thank you to all the ladies that attended and opened up their hearts, their lives to the participants in the session. I felt that everyone there really contributed to the betterment of the program. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that was there. This is Rihanna from Plan Wholesome Empowerment Group, giving a reflection on perception sessions, the breakdown. You will be seeing us again. We have another session on the 19th of October. It's called the Come Up. So you have the breakdown, then you have the come up. So we talked all about how you've been broken down, looked at the different skills and resources that you have available to you and how you can support yourself. The come up is now celebrating you overcoming those struggles. So if you're interested in attending, feel free to get in touch with us. Our tickets will be available very, very soon. Actually, they're going to be available very soon. And this one's a special one. So we have contacted selected Black businesses that we know have been a driving force in self-care and self-help. And we feel that a lot of the services and products that we've requested to be donated to our attendees will be of great benefit to any type of recovery that people are enduring right now. So if you're interested in attending, feel free to get in touch with us and we will hope to see you there. Okay? Again, last outro. This is Rana from Plan Wholesome Empowerment Group saying good night, take care, goodbye.